Welcome back, ladies and gentlefolk, to the second part of my books to get you started in comics. If you haven't seen the first part of this video, please check it out on our website or on our YouTube channel. Go on, have a little look, you minx. In the previous video I jumped into the slightly more edgier side of comics, or at the very least, darker, more graphic tales. And I'm going to stay there right on that track and bring you a very different type of comic book for my... Now, comic books for me have always been a way of escape, and as I'm sure for many of you that is the same case. However, I love being able to turn my back on the world every now and then, even if it's just for 20 minutes to read the latest issue of Batman or Paper Girls. I can forget about my troubles, I can forget about work, and just reset and realign and move forward with the rest of my day. And having said that, while comic books are a fantastic medium, they're not just there for escapism. They can be a tool and a platform to get across a message or inform those who would otherwise have no idea of something that is true, or something that is real, or sometimes something genuinely quite terrible. And few books hit these notes as well as Art Spiegelman's Mouse. The story follows Art, the writer and the main character, interviewing his father, Vladek, about his experiences before, during, and after the Holocaust. Vladek and his wife were living in Hitler's Europe, and this book addresses the horror of the Holocaust through these cartoons, these depictions of animals. Still, despite using mice and cats and pigs, he is still able to capture a very real fear of the time, and the paranoia, and the guilt, and the crazy stories that happened during this time. The feeling of survival and everything that comes after that. Not just that, but the relationship it can have from parents to children, survivors of the Holocaust who had children, how has it affected them? This book goes so deep into it, which is probably why the book is such a classic. The significance of this book alone is incredible. Art is able to create a real human story in Mouse, and we see the effect that such terrible events can have, not just while they're happening, but the years after. The psychological and physical impact over time that people who were subjected to these heinous acts of human violation would go through. And as heavy as it sounds, Mouse is also beautiful and charming and extremely important. We must remember these stories, these people, be it in history books, the movies, the documentaries, or yes, the comics. Well, that was quite a heavy one, so why don't I just jump over onto something a little more fantastical, a little more colourful, a little more Marvel. Outside of the Deadpool books and the Marvel Max series, because violence, I was never really able to get into Marvel books. However, in 2013, Jason Aaron was given the Thor property, and boy howdy did he run with it. Thor God of Thunder Volume 1 is an incredible introduction if you've never read Thor before. It's a time-bending magical mystery involving the blood of gods, a planet of slaves, and a dude known as Gore who has a serious chip on his shoulder. Starting with a young Thor, we are plunged into a mystery as the blood of a god has been spilled. Then moving into the present, Thor has found a link to the past with a cave of echoes and cries of dead gods and slaves, all the way onto old Thor, the last god, in fact, pretty much the last of anything. Old Thor realises that he is far outmatched by the legions of Gore. He travels through time, teaming up with the brash, cocky young Thor, the slightly high and mighty present Thor, and obviously himself, the cantankerous, disenchanted Thor, now beaten down by years of battle and blood. The reason I love this particular volume so much is because Thor is a character I've only been able to give any love to or enjoyment to on the screen. Other Thor books I felt relied too much on ye olde Viking talk and lightning and the usual obvious Viking Thor stuff. You're talking just hammers and violence. Jason Aaron was able to get me in through the writing. He created a mystery of murder and magic, and it drew me in a way that no other Thor book has up until this point. What was great about this book was from here I found it really easy to move into the deeper Marvel territories. Writers like Donny Cates' run on Cosmic Ghost Rider, Venom, and Thanos Kills are also incredibly fun stories which at no point feel like they are preaching, over-explaining, or being anything other than just the most fun you can have reading a comic book. Thor was my introduction into a world of comics that I struggled to break into, and now I've been able to relax on Marvel and experience Books like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Silk, and Ironheart. Big, fun books that everybody should at least try once, in my opinion. Plus, on a quick side note, if you're more into the Viking scene, and let's be honest, there's a whole bunch of us out there that are, then can I recommend also Black Road? It's an epic Viking jaunt from Brian Wood and Gary Brown, following the tale of this bad boy, Magnus. Now, I'm not going to say any more, but it's big, it's brutal, and it's so much fun, and it's also easy to read. Another book from Marvel Comics that I have to recommend is a biggie. Now, this book has been celebrated as one of the most must-read books of the century so far. It's Tom King's Vision. Now, remember that name, kids. He's going to come up a lot in the future. Tom King. He has created an incredible story from one of Marvel's most complex but underutilized comic book characters. Vision in this book is looking to become, well, human. An everyday guy, working class family, complete with wife, 2 kids, and a picket fence. Using the same technology used by Ultron to create him, Vision creates his wife Virginia and teenage twins, Vin and Viv. They share everything as a family, including the need Vision has to become an ordinary human being, by any means necessary. Undoubtedly, both hilarity and sadness ensues. There's chaos, it doesn't end massively well, as you can imagine. Vision's popularity rocketed after the second Avengers movie, but in the comics he was kind of a so-so character. He was around a lot, but as far as a solo series, it never really hit in the same way. Tom King has taken him and created a family man who has a deep, deep love or obsession for his family and a need to connect with humanity. And given his treatment in the movies, the book will definitely connect with you in a real and emotional way, which is why it's such a good book to jump into in comics. Anyway, ladies and gentlefolk, that is the end of this video. Next time I'll be talking about some Image books and some great DC books to really get your teeth into. And yes, if you know me in the real world, I will undoubtedly be talking about Batman. I've been Mike from Dysart. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to your heart's content. And stay safe, stay cool, and keep reading. Toodles.